G1484. And the definition for ethnos, sir, is this. Give me a second. And it says here, a multitude, whether of men or beasts, associated or living together, a company, troop, or swarm, a multitude of individuals of the same nature or genus, the human family, a tribe, nation, people, group. In the Old Testament, foreign nations, not worshiping the true God, pagans, Gentile. Paul uses this term for Gentile Christians. Strong's definition says this: ethnos, probably from G1486, a race as of the same habit, i.e. a tribe, especially a foreign, non-Jewish, one usually by implication pagan, Gentile, heathen, nation, people.
Right. So we see that in Revelation 22 and 2 that the Mashiach in his kingdom not only brings healing to the Israelites, but he brings healing to all the other people.
Okay, we said that.
Okay, well, since we're supposed to have the Christians on the hot seat, we actually believe, just like the brother Elazar stated, that the healings will come to the nations, but there's an order in prophecy. We can't omit the 57 to 100 scriptures about heathens going into slavery in the Bible.
We said that.
Wait, you said what?
My question. And this is I'm gonna make a statement to you guys. You know what I'm saying? I think you guys are very smart and you're very intelligent. I don't agree with your the hate doctrine that you preach. That's one thing to make it clear. I don't agree with that. It is Yahweh. He will decide who will go into captivity. He will decide what the punishments will be. Our job is to forgive because we have sinned against our Heavenly Father. That's why we're in this mess. So what we need to be doing right now is seeking Him and seeking the law and the Torah. We don't need to be pumping ourselves up about who we are. A lion don't have to stay on a lion. If you're an Israelite, be an Israelite. Be a nation. Be a light to the nation.
Okay, brother Yehukanan, is that it?
That's it. That's all I got to say.
Okay, Khan. All right, shalom.
If you got your questions ready, your time, go ahead.
Hey, brother, real quick, out of respect, brother Marcus, I want to deal with that Ezekiel 47, but the brother Yatab, he's been on trying to get some of his questions off, so we'll get to that. I promise you, I want to deal with it badly.
Yeah, we gotta go back and check it back these 6 anyway.
All right, bro. Where we at with So Real? Is he gone?
No, he here.
Okay.
So real.
And Seattle Sicarii, don't be telling nobody no lie on this platform. Do you understand? You ain't running nothing up here while you say, hold on. I'm not, listen. Listen. Don't be telling that it's rude.
Somebody in my house
no, if Gorilla Hebrew and Hezekiah can conduct themselves, you can do the same thing.
Jerry, I have people in my house.
Okay, but I need you to be respectful.
So you're just gonna tell me to be respectful when I haven't done anything?
You also have the mute button. I heard the mute button, sir. So use it.
That's right.
She comes, man. I'm not even talking to her at all. See how she just.
It don't matter.
Use it, or I can use it for
you. It's gonna be rude.
Would you like for me to use it for you?
You see how
just answer your question.
Just
answer your question, Yatab. Answer your questions. And make them hard, hit them where it hurts.
Well, with me, it's really not about hitting anybody where it hurts. I don't really have any trick questions or anything like that. I really just want to see how you guys break some of these scriptures down, because I really want to understand where it is that you guys are coming from. I think you guys understand where we're coming from. I'm seeing people write books about us and all types of other things. I just need to understand where you guys are coming from. So the thing with So Real and but let me say it like this. So Real, are you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm still here.
How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. All right, so look, I want to start off like this. What is a false teacher? Like, how do you define a false teacher?
I think I define a false teacher, simply by someone who is not walking or following or actually, teaching,
Yo, real quick, y'all. This is Alazar's chief. Listen, get out of their chat. They're blocking everyone. Just come in our chat and have our chat. They're not going to engage. They're going to block. They're going to do all their Christian shenanigans in their chat. Come out of their chat and be in our chat and participate in our chat. Thank you.
Where do you think I'm going?
Just keep asking the questions.
Where do you think I'm going?
Doesn't matter. Go, continue.
Can you guys hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
Hello? Okay, there you go. All right, cool. Are you Ishmaelites in the Bible? Can you hear me?
Yeah. What'd you say?
I said, are you familiar with the Ishmaelites?
Am I familiar with the Ishmaelites? Not really.
So you don't know who they are at all?
I know that they're from Ishmael, and I even heard some Muslims say that they come from Ishmael.
Okay. How does a person become an Ishmaelite?
Bible never says. It just labels them as Ishmaelites, just like it labels people as like Girgashites and parasites and stuff. They're just, I guess, national clans.
Okay, so you're not too familiar with the Ishmaelites. Okay, cool. So let me ask you this. Isaac and Jacob, right? The twin brothers. Which one did it say that Isaac loved the most?
You said Isaac and Jacob are twin brothers?
Like Jacob and Esau were twin brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Which one did it say that their father loved the most?
I think he said his firstborn Esau. I think.
Right. Okay. Now, did he circumcise Jacob?
Did Isaac circumcise Jacob? Yeah. Hello? Yeah, I said, yeah, Isaac circumcised Jacob.
Did he circumcise Esau too?
Yeah. I mean, matter of fact.
Did he circumcise Esau?
Yeah, I said yes. Yes, I mean, matter of fact, that was one of the reasons why that he was actually gonna bless Esau, and I think he did end up blessing him anyway. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, he definitely got a blessing. Esau did get a blessing. How does a person become an Edomite?
Well, the Bible really never lays nothing out like that. You don't see God making a covenant with an Edomite saying, hey, this is how things are gonna go. So I guess you just have to be born from his loins, I guess.
So
did I break up? Did I break up or something?
I think he has himself muted and he's forgetting, so it takes him a second to come off mute. I think that's.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, your time. He just left the call. It says he just left the call. So okay, we're back. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you was lagging, bro. You was lagging. So go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? Hello? Oh, man, my connection is bad, man. My bad, man. Okay, so was Esau an Israelite?
Yeah, I mean, if he was circumcised and, keeping the law and things like that, then yeah, I mean, I would definitely say so.
So it's not just about being circumcised, it's about keeping the law.
Oh, wait a minute, time out.
That's what made him an Israelite.
Hold on, wait a minute, time out. Now that I really think about it, I would have to say no, because Abraham had Isaac, Isaac had Jacob, Jacob had the 12 tribes. So, no, I think at best at that point, you could say that he was circumcised and he was a Hebrew, but that was it,
Okay, so right now today, anybody on this panel that's circumcised, or they Israelites?
Hey, is he breaking
Yeah,
up?
Yes.
he's breaking. I know what he asked though, but can I answer it? Since I know what he asked. Yeah, I know what you asked, so can I answer it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you basically asked the question, hey, if anyone's circumcised today, does that mean that they're Israelite? No. Why? Because for one, we could look throughout history and we could see that there are plenty of people that circumcise themselves. We see circumcision on the walls of Egypt 1,000 years before Abraham was even born. I'm circumcised, you know what I mean? Like when I was born, that's what happened to me in a hospital, but that doesn't mean I'm an Israelite. This is a covenantal thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, in that sense, I would definitely say no. It's not just like, oh, anyone can circumcise you. It's like, oh, I'm a Hebrew. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a communal, covenantal kind of thing.
So can you explain to me how it works? Because you said that circumcision makes you an Israelite, but now you're disqualifying other people who get circumcised and saying that doesn't make you an Israelite. So which one is it? How do you become an Israelite according to the Bible?
Okay, no, I'm not saying two different things. What I'm saying is I'm trying to put a context to what the Jews did to define who they are. And I also said that there were other people who were circumcising themselves. I said that because you asked the question, hey, can someone just circumcise themselves? And these people on the panel here, or whoever's circumcised on the panel, including myself, are we Israelites? No, it had a context. So that is not a contradiction. Just the fact alone that I said that, you had circumcision 1,000 years on the walls of Egypt before Abraham existed, that shows that there was a context to their circumcision. It was covenant with God versus everybody else's circumcision. Well, why did they do it? You know what I mean? When I was in the hospital, they circumcised me. It wasn't to make me no Israelite. God knows that. So there's a context to this stuff. That's why I said it's a communal thing.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay, so why didn't you say that initially? What was all this? What was all this pretext to being Israelite when earlier all you're saying is circumcised? They needed paperwork to prove that they were circumcised. Now it's different. Now it's got to be some type of agreement or some type of ideology that precedes it. This is new. This is totally not what you said earlier.
That video completely different. You have a whole video teaching completely different than what you're saying right now.
Actually not. You just brought up a different type of question. You end up saying, look, if you're saying that circumcision is what makes you an Israelite, Matt, what do you do with everybody on this panel that's circumcised right now? If they're circumcised, automatically that makes you an Israelite. You asked and you expanded the question, so I'm just being more clear. Just because I'm being more clear doesn't mean I'm contradicting myself at all. I'm actually being more clear. I think what you need to do is take exactly what I said and test it, instead of trying to say that it's contradiction. And I proved that it's not a contradiction by showing that there is a context. There's a different intent when God went to Abraham and said, hey, use this to make sure that you guys know you're my people, versus everybody else using this same thing for a different reason. I'm being specific.
Okay. So my mother got me circumcised as a child with the exact covenant that Abraham made with the Most High God in mind, right? So would that make me an Israelite?
Well, no, because you're guessing the intent of your mother. You're saying
she told me this out of her mouth, so I know this for a fact.
Right. So you're saying that your mother said, "Hey, son, I circumcised you because this is what the old covenant says, and this is what I want to go ahead and do, and I want to obey this old covenant." You're saying that's what your mom said?
She didn't say anything about the old covenant, but she said yes, because this is in the Bible. The Most High God commanded Abraham for the circumcision. So I'm doing this. I'm getting you circumcised because it's biblical.
Right. And also, when you were born, who circumcised you? Was it a doctor?
I'm not sure. I wasn't there. I was there, but I don't have a vivid recollection of the event.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, if that's what your mom said, and she actually did that with you religiously, and she took you to somebody, and that's what happened, and maybe they prayed over you or something like that, then yes, then you are, an Israelite.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clearing that up. Go ahead.
No problem. Yep. No problem. And you know what? This actually begs a certain question I have for you. What does a Jew get in Christ that a Gentile does not in the new covenant?
I love to answer that.
Sure.
Can we go to the book of Revelation, chapter 7? Who are those 144,000 people there?
Those people were Israelites, and it says there, those people there were Israelites, and it says there that
that's what they get to be, the government of Christ. That's exactly what they get to be. Let me go to Romans chapter 3, verse 1. Let me show you what else that they got.
Yeah, can I address
No. Hold on. I want this one. I want this one. You said, hold on. You said that's right, because you feel it coming. You said that they get to be the 144,000?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the thing. We got an Israelite. He gets circumcised, right? You say he becomes part of 144,000.
No. That's not what I'm saying. We're saying ethnic Israelites.
Okay, an ethnic Israelite. He's circumcised, and he becomes part of the 144,000.
No. He said under the new covenant, that would be, of course, that these Israelites would be believing in the Messiah and following the Bible, not just some Israelite who's wicked and doing all type of hell.
So
that's not what we're saying.
44,000 got to do with that?
He said, what does an Israelite get that a non-Israelite doesn't get underneath the new covenant, which we don't believe we're in the new covenant, but I'm just entertaining his idea that we're in the new covenant. And I said they get to be a part of the 144,000. They get to be a part of the people of the promise. So they get to be a part of the ethnic hierarchy that we see in the Bible.
Okay. So are you saying that they're literally the 144,000 or not? They're with them?
I don't understand the question you're asking.
I think you did. Are you saying they become literally the 144,000, or are they just with the 144,000?
What are you talking about?
Sister Terry, who are the 144,000 according to?
They're Israelites. They're Israelites. I got that. But I'm asking, do they are they in that number of, meaning they are the 144,000, or are they just? Says. Oh, okay. So what Gorilla Hebrew, he is what y'all consider. Y'all consider yourself Israelites, and I'm sure y'all circumcised. So would you say that you are the 144,000?
Nobody knows. The scriptures say, "He that endureth until the end, the same shall be saved." So you got to finish your race.
And so does the Bible literally give a description of the qualifications for the 144,000?
Yes,
because
it says, yes, it does give a description. It says 12,000 of the tribe of Judah, 12,000 of the tribe of Levi, 12,000 of the tribe of Benjamin, all the way down to the 12 tribes.
Okay, so again, when I'm trying
to Terry, you know what else the Israelites do?
Don't cut me off. Don't try to cut my wisdom. So again, when I'm trying to get a full understanding from you, if we got an Israelite, and are they literally becoming? Will they literally become the 144,000, or are they just around the throne of God? Up there with the 144,000. That's what I'm asking.
Go ahead. You can read it.
This is the book of Revelation. It's chapter 7. I'll start at verse 3. It says, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads.
Right. So the servants is saying that they're on earth, and they have to be sealed. They have to be sealed before God's destruction on the earth. So they're on the earth before Christ comes back.
Okay.
And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So they're the only ones who are going to be able to get the seal of the living God on their forehead. Take it deep.
The 144,000. Got that. That's fine. Okay. So here's my thing, where I have because it seems like you're just narrowing this down to you just got to be Israel and circumcised. Is that what you're saying?
Let me say this.
That's what he said. No. That's what he said. No.
Ask me, Sister Terry.
Okay, he opened his mouth, so I'm gonna go after him. You can move to the side for a second. So, Seattle Sicarii, since you stepped into this, now I'm about to go ahead and deal with you. So let's look at the full description of the 144,000. Revelations chapter 14. I'm gonna start at verse 1 for context. See, look, this is what it says. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the mount, Zion, and with him 144,000. Okay, having the Father's name written in their foreheads. We agree. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harps harping with the harps. Cool. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne. So they got this song, number one. And before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which was redeemed from the earth. Cool. So that's qualification number one. These are they which are not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whither or whatsoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruit unto God and unto the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, deceit, whatever you want to name it, for they are without fault before the throne of God.
Yeah, a clear word for guile is lie.
Lie.
Oh, really?
Let me go. No. So let me go further with you, Seattle Sicarii. You're an Israelite, check. And I believe the other qualification is that they're men. Check, you got that. You circumcised. Okay, cool, check. Let me ask you, have you ever told a lie?
Why do you keep saying this?
Okay, well, we can leave that out. Have you ever told a lie?
Yes, I've told a lie before.
Oh, okay, so we got a problem. Let me ask you this. Have you ever slept with a woman?
That's a logical fallacy.
Have you ever slept with a woman?
Yes, I have, Sherry.
Okay, so you mate.
So real, how is it?
I would love to understand.
Okay, can I finally answer this now? Can I answer this now finally?
No, wait, hold on.
When did Sicarii Seattle, Sergeant Guitar, ever at any point assert that he was a member of the 144,000?
I'm saying that for anybody. I'm saying that for anybody. I'm saying that for anybody that identifies themselves as an Israelite based off of what you told me. Or
we never said we're 144,000.
The reason why I went over to Seattle Sicarii is because he interjected himself, Deacon Hakiah. He opened that door, I walked through it. And that's why he gets to ask my questions. So if he messed you up, don't get mad at me, get mad at him.
Okay,
Okay, so now that that's out the way.
No, can I answer the question now?
No. What question was asked to you?
Yeah, I never get to answer it.
Hold on, are we still on that question?
Yeah, I never got to answer it.
So real, you asked the question to me. You're on the hot seat, so let Guitar finish his line of questions.
There you go.
I know, but he asked me a question about it, so can I give him an answer now?
No, let him finish his line of questioning.
Okay, all right, okay.
Go ahead, Sorrel. No, we have to keep it fair, man. Go ahead, Sorrel.
I can finish? Okay, yeah. So I thought about this last year, and so when I looked at it and I saw one, you actually also had another passage where it showed like everyone who's saved, whether you're a Jew or Gentile, they also sang before the throne of God. So you still have, two types of people singing. And then one, if you even look at it in a more technical sense, you have a group of 144,000 Israelites that know this song. They learned this song that no one else ever learned. And it basically is because of their status of like being, they never lied. And also they ended up not sleeping with any women. And that means any other Israelite that's not of the 144,000 don't learn that song, which means that there's a whole bunch of everybody else that's, you know, in the same camp as like me and everyone else. But yet both sets are up there singing before God, 144,000, and also the unnumbered people that are also singing. And so I still don't see anything that a Jew gets in Christ that a Gentile does not. And that's my answer.
So real.
That's
So real.
Go ahead, Ron.
Do you feel like God looks at Israel different than he looks at every other nation on the planet?
I feel like there was at one point he did.
Okay. In Revelations, do you feel like he did there in the end?
What about Revelations? Where
you said he did. Revelation is the end of it all. So when it comes to Revelation, did he feel different too?
Say it again.
I said, you said before, he did think different, or he looked at Israel different before. So he doesn't look at them differently today, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that he does look at Israel different today in the sense that who is ever in the church, that is who God considers like his children, right? His chosen. I mean, that's what Colossians 3:10 says. That's what John says, you know, to those he gave the power to become sons of God, like things like that. If you're in the church, then that is, you know, God, you know, looking at you as his son, the person that he saved. He's called the church.
Not to cut you off, my bad. You're talking about
you sound like a robot.
That are in the Christian church.
I can't hear you, man. Breaking up.
Right. Can you hear me?
Say it again. You're breaking up.
Man, this is crazy.
Yeah,
okay,
you're sorry, man. You're breaking up. Yep.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Okay, you're clear.
Okay, what about now?
Yep.
Okay, so you're talking about when you say Israel now, you're talking about that's the Christian church today, the Church of Christianity?
I'm not, you're asking me, is Israel the church?
Am I still breaking up?
No, I'm trying to get clarity.
No, yeah, what?
Okay.
So real.
I'm asking you if God, I'm asking for God to Hello?
You're asking him if he thinks that the church has replaced Israel, essentially replacement theology. That's what he just said.
Right, because I asked him if God looks at Israel different. He said they did.
Okay.
He said,
okay, I see what you're saying. Has a church replaced Israel? I really can't put it in that harsh of a term. What I would say is that you had the New Covenant church start out as Jews. Like the first Christians were Jews. Like they were Jews who became Christians. And so there was a faithful remnant that became the church. And they were Jews.
So really, you speak about the New Covenant. Who was the New Covenant made to?
The New Covenant was made to Israel and Judah. That's who it was made to.
Okay, yeah. So how does God not look at them as a special people, and they're not above any other nation, but the New Covenant that you're saying we're in was made to them, and it's reiterated in Hebrews the 8th chapter.
I'm so glad you said that. Matter of fact, Hebrews actually repeats Jeremiah 31 3 times. Did you know that? Now, another thing is when you look at the covenants, whether it's Abraham, Moses, even the New Covenant, right? Every single time you see God doing two things. One, he makes a covenant with one person, or at least like a group of people. And then after that, everybody else can join in that covenant. And when they do, they become like that people. Like they literally become equal. Like they become that. That's what you see. So in the New Covenant, he does the same thing. He takes a group of people and says, all right, I'm going to make a covenant with you. And by the way, everybody else can join. Now, I think it's funny because if you read the full context of the story.
How do they join covenant?
Oh, wait, hold on. What'd you say? Oh, all right. Well, let me continue. Yeah, it's funny because if you look at the full context of the story, that same group of people that's being like added in to the people that he made a covenant with, he all calls them by the same thing.
Are you saying, I just want to get this clear, are you saying that God is adding to his covenant?
Is God adding to his covenant. No, I would say
because initially, like you said, you agreed. You said it was made with Israel at first, but now people that join in, so he's adding to the covenant.
How is he adding to the covenant if he's adding people to, you know, his
So real, it was made.
Adding is adding. You said, how is he adding to the covenant if he's adding people? Wait a minute, he's adding. Adding is adding, brother.
Oh yeah, he's adding. No, he's not adding to the covenant. He's never changed the covenant. There's nothing
Here's
what we mean. So
okay,
right?
Yeah.
If he makes a covenant with one distinctive group of people,
right,
and then later on, other people outside of that distinctive exclusive group are added in, he's added to the covenant. Not like he made new conditions on the covenant.
Oh, okay, I see.
Initially in it.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, he's definitely adding people to the group that he started it with. Now it's funny, what do they call that group? When you look in Isaiah, he says, I will call them by a new name. And when we look at that new name, it is what? It's actually Christian. He calls all those groups Christian, whether you're Jew or Gentile. When you look in Acts chapter 11.
What the heck happened? I don't know.
So real and Deacon just got the boot.
Oh God. Yeah, okay, Google Hangout been tripping.
Been acting stupid today.
It's been acting stupid all day today. I don't know that I did nothing.
No, it just like you said, they can come back in. We've been having issues.
Can I ask you, Gorilla Hebrew? Okay, you're asking, is God adding? Is God adding to? No, adding people to.
That's what people asked. I was just clarifying the question. So
okay.
Okay, so what did I miss? For real?
Nothing.
Y'all both got booed at the same time. So you
Yeah. I never got to finish. Can I finish?
Okay, can I read this real quick because I don't want to escape this. Galatians chapter 3 verse 15. It says, "Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant. Yet if it be confirmed, no man disannulleth or added thereto." So we see our brother So Real asserting that God is adding to his covenant, in which that would be against the scriptures when he made it with a distinct people group, all right, a distinct ethnic people group. Okay, so how do you get around? What do you do with that?
Yeah, I'm glad. It seems like that you guys are actually defining something different than what this verse is here saying. That's why I asked you guys, what did you mean by adding to the covenant, right? And now I'm trying to address you. And so, after we haggled that out, I said, oh, okay, if that's what you mean, then I said, okay, then no, you're not adding to the covenant. Now all of a sudden you take a verse and you say, oh, you're adding to the covenant. So it sounds like you guys are kind of like doing a double standard thing. I'm going to try to explain this one more time. This part right here, Galatians.
Read the scripture and see what the Bible says. Can we?
We'll get to that in a second.
Great. Galatians 3:15. Let's So Real break it down.
Yeah.
Or Hebrews 8, the new covenant.
Oh man, I would love to do that one. I would love to do that one because we're in the new covenant right now. But anyway, so when it's saying like, okay, he's not going to add to his covenant. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Like, God is not going to like make a new covenant, right? And all of a sudden he's going to start adding these extra rules. No, the whatever rules were in that covenant, then that's what stays. And guess what? The new covenant has like the same kind of like adding in to like the people. That's the same thing as the old covenant. I'll give you an example again. You look at Genesis 17. He makes a covenant, huh?
So it's kind of a long answer, man. We just want to.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to be as bullet point as possible.
When you're done, I want to engage as well again.
I'll tell you what, guys. I'll just make an after hangout and explain it. I'm serious. So you guys go ahead.
Look, all right. I need this to happen. I need any Christian apologist on the panel. I need an exegesis of Isaiah 60:1-6. Please, anybody can take it. Give me a verse by verse exegetical breakdown. Make it clear. Make me to understand how this functions in Christ's kingdom as you see it, please.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go there. You said Isaiah 60?
Wait, Marcus, you're a Christian?
Yeah, he's been a Christian. Isaiah 61:6.
Okay.
I mean 60, the 60th chapter, verse 1-6, so I'm clear. I'm not talking about Isaiah 61.
Okay. You said Isaiah 60, verse 1 through 6?
Yes, sir.
Popcorn.
All right.
Oh, no, my fault. 61-6, 61, 1-6 is what I need. So we got to start at 10 in 60, right? All right, yeah. I'm at verse 10. My fault. I'm getting 60 and 61 confused. Because I'm going to go, after we do 60, we're going to do 61. And then we're going to just follow off in the prophecies of Isaiah. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to read Isaiah 60 and verse 10, and then you want me to explain verse 10, or do you want me to just keep reading 61?
Let's just go to 10 to 12.
All right. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted.
I actually need you to continue to 16, my fault.
It would be better possibly if he breaks down every verse.
Yeah, well, I
Not
initially
just read it.
I initially asked for a verse by verse, if I can get that.
All right, so you want me to explain it verse by verse?
Verse
Yeah,
by verse. 10 to 16,
Absolutely.
please.
All right. So first and foremost, verse 10, right, when it says, "And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee." This is obviously referring to Israel being, overcoming their oppressors. That's going to take place in the last days. And what this is talking about, the millennial kingdom, when Christ comes back and he begins to set up the kingdom in Jerusalem.
Brother Marcus, real quick, I think you came on late. Who do you say the Israelites are today? Because you just said they would be being oppressed when Christ comes back. So we need to know who those are for you.
Well, I don't subscribe to the 12 tribes chart at all. I don't believe
understand that. So we're asking you who they are. You ain't gonna tell me who you don't believe. Just tell me who you do believe.
All right. Well, I mean, I think so far, the Jews that are in Jerusalem today, I believe that they are the Jews, but they don't get like the whole nation. I believe that there's still more. I believe that there's still more of what?
Because we got 12. You should believe the Jews are the Jews, but we know it's two kingdoms. So there's other people that may be not.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so real quick, so something's gonna happen where they end up in a bad position and end up being, you mentioned the word oppressed. So before Christ comes, they're gonna end up in a position where they're subjugated and oppressed to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Being oppressed in their own land, being oppressed in Jerusalem.
Okay, Zechariah chapter 14. Zechariah chapter 14.
G-Con, bro.
That's rude.
You're not on the hot seat right now. Stop trying to help. Go ahead.
And no, G-Con is on point though. Like that came out of nowhere, but G-Con is on point. I was exactly about to go there. Zechariah 14. You read about how you will have the Jews in the land of Judah. They will be being oppressed by the nations of the beast that's going to be oppressing them.
Okay, Marcus.
All that's cool. Let them just we need the breakdown. Okay, so go ahead.
All right. So, anyways, these sons of the strangers that's going to build up the walls. These are going to be from the various nations I'm going to have to paraphrase a lot of things. But if you want, just ask me. Just stop and ask me if you want me to break it down more. But because this is a deep topic, by the way. But anyways, the sons of the strangers that will build up the walls. This is referring to the nations that are of the beast that when Christ comes back and sets up his kingdom, he's going to basically, everyone is going to be required to repent and believe in Christ. And the nations that don't do this, who don't repent and serve the Lord, they're going to experience famine in their land. They're going to be going through famine and all types of pestilence in their land until eventually we're going to have kings who are going to submit unto the Lord, and they're going to join themselves with Israel and become the people of God. Let me explain. Let me read Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 11.
Can you deal with the point for point, verse for verse as I asked you? Because you jumped all over again.
I didn't jump. I'm explaining.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Because some of that is already covered later. You can get to that when you get to it, brother. I need 10, 11, and 12. Strangers building walls. That's what we're reading about. Strangers building walls. Please.
Yes. So these strangers that are building up the walls, they're going to help build the kingdom. They're going to help build the kingdom. Then it says, and their kings shall minister unto thee. How will the kings minister unto thee? Certain scriptures, which we can go to, it tells you how they're going to bring gifts. They're going to bring all types of things like lambs, trees, all types of riches from their lands to help build the kingdom, the millennial kingdom. Then it says, then it says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Verse 11, therefore thy gates shall be open continually.
What does that mean, that last verse, that last sentence, before we go to verse 11?
For in my wrath I smote thee. God smote the Israelites because they continuously broke the covenant. They continuously broke the covenant. So because of that, like you read in Deuteronomy chapter 28, for every sinful, when Israel sins and breaks the covenant, the curses are poured out on Israel. They now have to face war, famine, pestilence, and noisome beasts. So then he says, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. But it's by God's grace, he's going to have mercy on Israel. And he's going to, redeem Israel.
Is that through Christ?
Yeah, that's going to be through Christ.
Okay, perfect. Then.
So verse 11. My bad.
Say it again.
So Christ is getting ready to redeem Israel, and the other nations are going to have to build up the kingdom.
Yeah, the rebellious nations. Not all. So let's have some understanding with this since you asked that.
Revelations 22 and 25.
LeBron, he's on the hot seat. Stop.
My bad. I thought it was a Christian thing where. All right, go ahead.
I said somebody jump up and he jumped up. So don't worry about it.
LeBron,
all the Christians are. Hey, hold on. Because last time I checked, that this platform right here said Cherry Love. All the Christians are on the hot seat.
Okay, but as soon as y'all start doing that, we're gonna start pinning y'all against each other. So I just want to
say that. We're not gonna pin us against each other. No, we're not gonna. All the Christians are on the hot seat. So stop that. G-Con, if he y'all interjected as well.
Let him go. Let him go. Marcus got it, you know what I'm saying? They got it, that Revelations 22, 25 to 26 after that too.
I'm gonna get you some got it coming.
But I'm about to get you. I got some questions for you. We're gonna get your ass today.
You better watch your mouth on my platform.
That's in the Bible. That's in the Bible.
I've heard Cherry said a B word on here.
It's all right. It's all right. Let's let Marcus go with his breakdown. That even matters.
Right. So anyways. All right, hello. All right. So anyways.
Who is that cutting up like that? Lord in Christ.
I think that's one of y'all.
Okay, I think it's good now. Go ahead.
All right. So the nations, the sons of the strangers are going to build up the walls, right? We read the same thing in Revelation 21, verse 24 and 25, right? Through 27, basically. This is going to take place in the millennial kingdom where you're going to have some nations that don't get destroyed. Some of these nations are going to submit themselves unto the Lord because they're going to be witnessing other nations who rebel that's going to experience famine and all types of destruction in their land. But some of the nations are going to actually repent and submit themselves unto the Lord, and they're going to happily bring the riches to the kingdom and help build the kingdom.
Okay,
So
Marcus.
those are the strangers that it's talking about.
Marcus, real quick. So nations, right? So what do we mean by nations? Do we mean nations in a modern sense? Do we mean it in a kind of, you know, from a biblical like descendants of certain
It's referring to political. I would say it's referring to political establishments. You know, it's
like
going to
China,
be
India,
right.
Russia.
Alazar, you gotta get it sounds like your thumb is on your mic or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't about I'm trying to hold it bad boy. Okay, so you mean like political institutions like we understand them in today's world. Okay, so let's say so for example, right, let's say Lebanon, let's say they repent, but Pakistan, they don't want to repent. So Pakistan is getting destroyed, but Lebanon is coming to serve. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, essentially that's what I'm saying. But now let me explain, let me go a little bit in depth with that too. These people that remain a part of these nations, these are not people who, this is not saying that you're not already going to have people of the other nations that are already a part of the kingdom of Christ. There's already going to be people that are a part of the kingdom of Christ before this event takes place. This is why we have the conversion of the Gentiles, you know, to believe in Christ all throughout Acts. And when you read Isaiah 56, verse 3-8, we have another clear example of strangers joining themselves unto the Lord. And God says he's going to give them an everlasting name and also give them a place in his house. So we know, we can already tell, you know, by scripture that there's already going to be Gentiles a part of the kingdom of Christ before this event takes place. But there's going to be the remaining nations that were a part of the beast system. They're going to get dealt with during this time period, and many of them are going to repent and come back. So, back in Isaiah chapter 60, we're now in verse 11 again. It says, "Therefore thy gates shall be open continually; they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted." Now, how are they going to get utterly wasted? Through famine, pestilence, noisome beasts. This is how they're going to get utterly wasted, because we read this in Zechariah chapter 14 about that nation. Matter of fact, let me read it real quick. Just so
the nation that won't come up for the Feast of Tabernacles, they're not going to get rain.
Right. Meaning they're going to experience famine, pestilence, and all types of.
So to get this straight, the deed that it's talking about serving is Israel, right?
Well, we can say this, but ultimately it's talking about Christ.
Okay, because he's the king of Israel.
Right.
Okay, boom.
Right. So it's ultimately talking about Christ. It's not saying that they're going to serve, the Israelites like some type of chattel slavery thing that many camps and stuff teach. Y'all actually believe that you're going to have people out in the fields picking your cotton and all that. That's not biblical, bro. The servitude
is this servitude? Is this servitude or slavery we're reading about?
Not the slavery you guys talk about.
It's Isaiah chapter 2.
Is it slavery or servitude at all? That's what I want to know.
Well, from what we see so far in Isaiah chapter 60, the only thing these guys are going to be doing is helping build the kingdom. They didn't say anything about, picking cotton and washing your dishes and folding your clothes.
It doesn't matter. None of that matters. I'm just asking, is this servitude? That's what I'm asking. I'm not asking whether it's picking.
Oh yeah, all Israel are God's servants. Everybody's a servant.
No. I'm talking about what we're talking about. Let's stay in context of what we're reading here. Isaiah 60. Is this talking about other nations being and serving Israel?
I'm gonna. I would say
yeah. Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, I would say it's talking about serving Israel, but it's not.
Those are natural nations serving Israel.
Right, but it's not in a way that you guys are trying to put it out as if it's like.
I didn't try to paint it any way right now. I'm just asking you, is it servitude, bro?
All right. It is servitude, but the reason why I'm answering it this way is because the way you asking it is almost like you trying to set me up, you know. So I'm
not going anywhere. Just you admitting that is really all I need. As far as nature of slavery, that's not a discussion that I don't even think is important right now.
Let me say this real quick, and this is for against atheists. So whenever we going against atheists, because we always get this type of conversation.
And by the way,
everybody that's listening,
can I try to take a crack at it when you're finished?
All right. Yeah, that's a I don't know, but yeah. So basically, what happens is atheists always say about servitude. You know what I'm saying? They always got something to say about that. And the point of servitude is to teach lessons, because there wouldn't be servitude had Adam never sinned in the first place. And so servitude is something that teaches people lessons and teach people how other people should serve other people. Whereas in this system that we see now, this is not a system like that. This is a system for the best of the global elite, and not for those who we see that are less fortunate. You know what I'm saying? Those who are less fortunate, you know, whether you're Israel or outside of Israel, you know, there's a worse experience. But the point of all of this servitude ultimately is to show, you know what I'm saying, the sin and the fall, and why there is servitude, and plus, to teach a lesson with that servitude.
So basically, the slavery in the Bible is not the chattel slavery that was seen here in America. That's basically okay. I'm with you. That's something that, like you said, with atheists or people that's against the Bible, we have to deal with stuff like that all the time as well. So I understand exactly why you came with the disclaimer. But all right, let's go.
All right, so let me jump to another text, and because there's multiple scriptures on this. But you wanted me to go to another chapter and explain it too. So let me make sure I'm not.
Yeah, we want to do 60, 10 to 16, and then we want to do 61. I want to get a few verses 61. I'll get that to you in a second, but let's just get through 60 first.
All right, so we left off with verse 12, so now I'm gonna read on. Verse 13. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. So this is all going into what I just previously explained, that these Gentiles are going to repent and serve the nation that serve the kingdom that Christ has established by helping build it up. So they're bringing all of their riches, all of their forces unto the kingdom to help build it up. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So the same people that was oppressing, that was afflicting the Israelites in their land, these same people, they're going to be broken down into submission, and when it says that they shall bow themselves, this is them submitting themselves unto the people of the kingdom to help build the kingdom. And let me give you an example of this happening, right? So we have plenty of scriptures like Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 on down, and we also have Zechariah chapter 8 that deals with this on how they're going to do this. So let me go to Zechariah chapter 8 to give an example of what this is going to actually look like. Because and the reason why I want to explain this is because there's some camps, that like pull scriptures like this and make, Gentiles literally, what I'm saying, get down on their knees and, kiss the boots and stuff like that.
We don't make them do it. They voluntarily do it. We can't make them do anything just out of gun to their head. But go ahead.
Well, you should stop them from doing that, because that's not right.
Well, that's a personal opinion.
All right. So Zechariah chapter 8, and let's look at verse 20. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 20 says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, it shall yet come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go together, saying, let us go speedily to pray before the Lord and to seek the Lord of hosts. I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. So this is
Brother Marcus, can I ask you a question? Does that mean you have to follow the Jews to actually learn, right? Do you follow a rabbi?
All right, so you're going into something else. Let me not. I don't want to digress from the point.
But the verse that you read is suggesting that I have to grab the skirt of somebody that's a Jew. I have to do that in order to come and see God. That's what the verse you just read is suggesting, unless I'm getting something, wrong about that.
Well, we have to deal with this in understanding. This is why I say it's a deep topic, bro. You're gonna
well, brother, the thing is, I asked you for the exegesis, right? And here's the thing about the exegesis of Isaiah 60 that you've done so far. I don't disagree with you at all, right? For the most part. So you're the one that's making it and complicating this and making it deeper. I'm not complicating anything.
I'm not complicating anything. It's
according to your admission is what you're doing, brother. You just said it's a deep topic. You didn't have to go to that precept. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying about Isaiah 60.
All right. So look, the reason why I said that is because what I'm not sure who the brother is that just interrupted me with this question, but it's kind of throwing, you know what I'm saying? Like he's adding in extra stuff that's not really there. Like he said, so does this mean you got to now enter in through an Israelite or something like that?
That's what that verse suggested. That's what that verse suggested, because it says 10 people shall take hold of them that are called, take hold of him that are called a Jew. It didn't say 10 people are by themselves going in or coming to Christ. It said the Jew they're gonna grab his garment and say, take me to Israel, essentially. So that's what that verse suggests. And you didn't even have to go to that verse, because it's not like we're objecting to what you're saying. So that's why we're saying you're overcomplicating it, because now a new question arises to where it seems like there is a clear spiritual ethnic hierarchy being implemented through the verse.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Can you explain to me how you read that verse and don't deduce that from it?
Yeah, because you have to go by the whole counsel of God, not just one verse and then come up with a whole different ideology.
But again, you just read and we're asking you about that verse that you just read. So let's not jump out of that verse. Explain. Now understand. I just asked you. I said, how do you read that one verse and don't deduce that out of it? You said we have to go by the whole counsel of God. So you're telling me we have to go to other verses. I asked you about that verse. Just like I'm asking you Isaiah 60, 10 to 60, I'm asking you about those verses. And then you're talking about it's a deep topic once you run too long into something, and it doesn't have to be a deep topic. We just stay right where we at. You don't have to.
All right, so let me explain, bro. What we just read in Isaiah chapter 60 in verse 14, right? Let me read it again. It says, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So this is the reason why they're grabbing on to the skirts of these Jews right here. It's because it's been made evident now that they are a part of God's people. They're a part of God's kingdom. So now they're grabbing the skirts of these people and they're saying, yo, bring us to the Lord. We want to be with you. That's not them. This is not saying that now you have to enter in by a Jew. You know, now you got to, you know what I'm saying, enter in by Israel. That's not what that's talking about.
So what are they doing right there? I mean, they're saying they're running to a Jew. Oh, this is God's people. They're jumping at his feet and saying, yeah, yo, take me up there. I mean, what is that?
Well,
are they entering into the city of the Lord by a Jew? Are they asking a Jew to guide them into the city of the Lord?
Okay, yes, I would agree with you with that. I would agree with you with that.
That's our point, King.
All right, but don't add to that now. Don't add to that thought, because the reason why I'm being cautious with that is because what somebody can do is somebody can twist that and say, see, yeah, you got to come in through an Israelite. You got to come underneath us. This is not an ethnic hierarchy.
Hey, Marcus.
That's not an ethnic hierarchy. That's why.
Marcus, who's the olive tree in Romans 11?
Hold on, bro. That's the olive tree.
You're saying that they don't have to come in through Israel. Who is the olive tree in Romans 11?
Okay, the olive tree in Romans chapter 11, it is referring to, the natural branches, which would be Israel. And then you have
not necessarily the branches. I'm dealing with the tree. What was the tree?
Well, I think
Israel.
the tree. I think
it's Israel, correct? It's Israel. So you say that the wild trees, the wild branches are non-Israelites. What are they being grafted into?
Right.
Israel. So how can they get saved without coming through Israel? Isn't salvation of the Jews according to John 4?
All right. Well, let me make it plain for you, bro. The only Israelite that we have that is the gates or the gateway into the kingdom is Christ. Christ, he came from the tribe of Judah, and he is an Israelite, and that's how we enter into the kingdom. It's not just by some random,
brother. The branches have to be.
I'll be right back.
The branches have to be grafted into the olive tree, which is Israel.
All right, well, look,
non-Israelite.
That's deviating from the point.
Okay. I'm just making sure, but I want that to stand for the record.
It is real quick. It is deviating from the point, Marcus. But I want you to understand, you led us there through going to these specific verses. You led us into deviation from the point by bringing up these verses that raise these questions that seem to, now I'm not saying in fact do, but seem to contradict your initial point, King. So that's what led.
No, they don't contradict me at all.
I said seem to. I didn't say in fact did. I said seem to. This is why we're asking clarifying questions. But I just would like to get back to Isaiah 60 so we can finish that out, because we still have, I want to say, at least 2 more verses in that.
All right, so we left off on, we're now on verse 15 in Isaiah chapter 60. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Obviously, God is going to bless, the king. He's going to bless those who are in the kingdom. Verse 16 says, thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breasts of kings, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. I mean, this is self-explanatory because we just went over, the previous verses that says the same thing on how all of the riches of. Say what?
What does it mean to suck the milk of the Gentiles?
Meaning all of the riches, all of the riches, all the forces of the Gentiles will be brought into the kingdom to help build the kingdom.
Right. Basically, nurture,
right.
Basically. Right.
To help build up the kingdom. So that's what that's talking about. So we just got done dealing with Isaiah 60.
Now, what's the reason why the riches and the goods of all the nations of the earth? Why does it say here in 60 this is going to happen?
You said why is it saying that it's going to happen?
60 and 16, right? I'm gonna just cut to the point, right?
By the way, your audio is messed up. I don't know if you're far away or something like that.
I'm good again.
Nah. It sounds like you're underwater. It sounds like you're underwater.
Do you got your finger on it again?
I did, but I don't know more.
It still sounds messed up.
Maybe if you go out and come back in, it might do like reset it. So go out and come back in. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just go out and come back.
Give him a second, you guys. Let's give him a second to come back.
All right, and there's plenty of other scriptures to deal with on this, but hopefully, if y'all let me bring these scriptures out, it's going to be evidently clear, that these scriptures are not talking about what the majority of these Israelite camps are teaching. How they basically use those scriptures to say that it's going to be like chattel slavery. You're going to have Gentiles as slaves. They're going to be picking your cotton and stuff like that. That's not biblical.
Will they be captives? Yeah, you're good now. Will they
All
be
right.
captives? Will they be held captive?
Yeah, they're going to be held.
So they're not going to be
Everybody's
slaves, but
Huh?
Right. Some will be
there's not
held
going to be
captive
slaves.
because of.
G-Con, you'll get your chance in a minute. Let Marcus answer. He came on here. He can hold his own. He's a good brother. So you're saying they're going to be. It's not going to be chattel slavery, but they're going to be held captives, as the Bible says.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So a captive. What is the? Go ahead.
Real quick,
Are chains involved?
Hold on. So real quick, wait. Hold on. Real quick. What's the difference between this and chattel slavery? Can you elaborate?
Say that again.
What is the difference between what we're reading about here on Isaiah 60 and chattel slavery? If you give me like a couple identifying things, say this is clearly not that.
Chattel slavery is what I would say is like what we see, with early American history, when literally a person is, basically, I'm going to say that when I say chattel slavery, I'm thinking about American
raping,
slavery.
hanging people,
Right.
all types of stuff. Like,
Okay. Listen. We're not.
Get out of here. Get your butt out of here.
Hold on.
Right. I mean, there's some.
I just want to let me just look at the definition real quick so I can understand. I don't want to miss. I get what y'all saying as far as all this feeding kids to alligators and raping people and cutting kids out of tummies and things of that nature, right? That's savagery. I'm not saying that that's in the Bible, but let's read chattel slavery right here. Okay, the definition says a chattel slave is an enslaved person who is owned forever and whose children and children's children are automatically enslaved. Chattel slaves are individuals treated as complete property to be bought and sold. Chattel slavery was supported and made legal by European governments and monarchs. So we see something that is inherent, something where somebody is possessed as property, and things so that's the definition of chattel slavery.
Well, hey, Alizar, can I ask you a question? According to that definition, can we see chattel slavery not only from an eschatological view, but can we see that during in the Torah, actually, by that definition?
Yeah, somewhat in there, but it was also told how you should treat your servant, and it wasn't like how you see servants being treated.
I said according to the definition of chattel slavery.
That's not the definition of chattel slavery, though. I understand what you're saying, and I'm with you 100%. But the definition that we just read of chattel slavery is exactly what is defined in Torah as lawful to have a slave.
And not only that, it's a non-Israelite slave. You could have them forever. I mean, this is literally the definition of chattel slavery. I can read this in Leviticus and Exodus right now, and their kids forever.
All right, so let me just make my point clear, right? The slavery that's mentioned in the Bible is not the slavery we see, that was done in America, or that the other nations do with with other nations. That's not the same slavery, bro.
It's a more just and civilized form.
Slavery, like the word servant and the word servant.
Well, Marcus, but what does it mean by double? What does it mean by double?
Chattel slavery, you read the definition, it says prostitution, all this type of things. When you read the rest of it, it's exploitation, all of this force. I mean, this is not this couldn't be.
Yeah,
this ain't biblical.
No. That's not in the definition of chattel slavery. And if it is, I would love.
All right, where are you reading the definition from? What source are you reading that from?
The number one I just read it from is Abolition. I read it from the Abolitionist website, abolition.org. Let me get another source for you as well that coincides with that. Because people are treated the job. Okay, so this source is the book called Chattel Slavery. It's called Chattel Slavery, Slavery in the Modern World, right? And it says chattel slavery, also called traditional slavery, is also named because people are treated as the chattel, personal property of the owner, and are bought and sold as commodities. Typically, under the chattel slave system, slave status was imposed on children of the enslaved at birth. So it's not talking about, which again, I understand, we're not saying like you said, prostitution or anything like that. But what we are saying is that it is chattel slavery by definition, which of course is also called, as we just read by the source, traditional slavery.
All right. Well, look, I'm not going to go back and forth on definitions of words. My thing is when you look at early American history, when it comes to slavery,
Yeah,
that's not
what God is saying what's going to happen. Okay.
Right.
I'm with you.
Right. That's just my position on that. I don't want to
impose that on anyone else.
All right.
Okay.
So, and so far, what we're seeing in Isaiah chapter 60, so far the servitude is building up the kingdom. Bringing in all the the riches and resources to help build the kingdom. So that's what
the only thing they're going to be doing.
And worshiping the Lord. Yeah, they're going to be doing that and worshiping the Lord.
All right, let's turn to the next page, because this is what I wanted you to go into exegetically. Next is Isaiah 61, the very next chapter, in verses 5 and 6.
Okay. Let's see. Isaiah chapter 61, verse 5 and 6. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers.
Well, now, brother, it looks like the strangers are going to be in the field serving as well.
Yeah, brother.
Wow.
Brother, you said
Okay.
you said ain't gonna be no cotton picking, brother.
All right, so I mean, let's kind of deal with that, right? Now, what I think that this is talking about is it's not saying that they're gonna be out in picking your cotton for you and stuff like that. Number one, it says vine dressers, so that's number one. That's
plowmen. I mean, figuratively picking cotton. We understand that in slavery, whatever you got in your field, whatever you're producing, is something that they're going to deal with. If it's picking
right, well, these are all
grapes, whatever.
Well, these are all offices or job descriptions of you basically what's the word? It's like husbandry. You helping beautify or glorify the
Right.
kingdom.
Hey, Marcus, hold on, Marcus. Do me a favor and read verse 6.
He's going to read. Hold on. I asked him to read 5 and 6, Laura, so we're going to get there. But didn't your ancestors, my ancestors, didn't we do that for somebody as servants, slaves?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, but this is not. But this is not saying that they're gonna be out picking cotton for the Israelites and stuff like that. I'm drawing a line. I'm trying to make sure that there's a clear distinction that this is not talking about what took place in American history.
Okay, we understand that, but it says, "And strangers shall feed your flocks." What does that mean?
Meaning they're gonna take care of the flocks.
Okay. All right, cool.
They're gonna do whatever they can to help build
it. Let me say this.
So whatever they can. So if I need them to pick, or not if I need them, but if Christ needs them to pick cotton to further the kingdom, will they do it?
Yeah.
Right, definitely. If you notice, it says the next verse, it says they're priests. Israel is the priest of the nations.
Yeah, Laurent, I asked him to read it. We're getting right there. I understand, bro.
Cool. No. But I just want to make sure, because the thing is to get the people to understand it, because one of the reasons why the Levitical priesthood was given a double portion, because they did the priestly work, so therefore they had more of the cattle. And so when you see them coming to eat in Zechariah 14, this is because God is the one who's bringing the distribution in, and this is to father the kingdom. This is why even with Christ's example, when he fed 2 loaves of bread, he had 2 loaves of bread and 5 fishes, or might be vice versa. He showed them how he can suffice them with so little, and also take up fragments. So what's going to happen is all the commerce is going to come through Israel, because remember, the curse of the millennium is still going to be on the earth until after the millennium. So what they're doing is Israel is given a double portion, because they are the priests, and also because of they're the elders out of all the kids. And there's a whole adoption here just going on anyways in the first place. And so we see that they're given that also because of what we see their experience, but they're given that. But then we see also God bringing those things into the land with the priests, and the pots of the Lord are going to be full in the house of the Lord, especially when people come up to keep the feast days. So this is the purpose of them, is showing how commerce and how we should relate to each other in the earth. But this is natural people. This is not talking about spiritual people who have already got glorified bodies. Somebody with a glorified body is going to be serving in a sense of serving a natural person like that.
Okay, so Israel essentially is going to be busy doing the Lord's work, and then that's going to be for the nations that you know, we're not
teaching all the people, teaching
everybody.
The knowledge of the Lord should go out. Right. The knowledge of the Lord should be all through the earth, the Bible says, and people are going to come up to even hear the knowledge of the Lord. So it's no excuse.
And they're going to be in like a subjugation state, though, right? Just so we're clear.
Right. Right. Yeah. It should be no excuse why anybody shouldn't know about how to service each other, how service should be done, because they're going to be taught that in the millennium kingdom. And we also see that the beast has given us certain things that we see that has caused us to attack each other. Well, none of that's going to happen. This is why Isaiah 2 says they will know war. No one will know war no more. So the thing of Israel is to teach these nations and show them how servitude is done and how we should relate to each other, and also the purpose of teaching them a lesson on what the nations did that was wicked against Israel. It has to be dealt with just as well. You know what I'm saying? And so really ultimately your job is to teach people and get them understanding. And then also some of those people, y'all gonna realize that they just don't want the reign of Christ altogether. And at the end, we see that when Satan is loose, or whatever case that text says, we see that he causes this uproar between these people that are in the land. And those are the people who never wanted to reign ultimately, but are made to really serve.
Real quick, before you do that, Laurent, I want to respond to one thing you said, because you said what y'all should be doing, and I agree. But what I'm saying is, when this is going on, when Christ's kingdom is on the scene and these people are subjugated, that is when we're going to teach them, not before that. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead, Deacon.
Right, you should be teaching them now, though.
Right. I don't see that, because these prophecies have to happen. So when these prophecies happen, that's when they get taught. Now Israel has to get taught. So
no,
Acts chapter 13. Acts chapter 13.
We're not going to spiral into that. I was just clarifying to him my stance on what he said. Deacon, go ahead.
Yeah. We're dealing right now. We're dealing with eschatology, not the book of Acts.
Okay, all right, cool. So let me actually just read this scripture real quick.
Hold on. Deacon was saying something.
Oh, my bad.
This is my question for both of you guys. In the Bible, it says that these nations are going to get destroyed and broken into pieces. Who does the Bible say, from the eschatological worldview, is going to be beating the hell out of the nations?
Well, number one, Christ is going to have the reign, and he's going to give it unto his people, which are, those who have, put their faith in him. And they're going to basically be ministering unto the nations.
Wait. When you say
those nations that rebel.
When you say his people, can you show me where it says that his, what do you mean by his people? You mean like a group of, it's going to be,
what do you mean, you people?
Everybody who come together to beat the hell out of their own people. Is that what you're saying?
the way you word this stuff is funny, bro.
I mean, actually, what happens is that's not from an eschatological standpoint.
See that? We're asking him a question.
Right, he said he asking too. He said this is for both of you guys. That's what he said.
It's for both. It's for both. But brother Marcus, you got to understand that you Christians say you serve the same God who will kill somebody for lighting the wrong incense on an altar. He's not some all hugs.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying it in the same way that he would probably say it. So answer the question: who is he going to use to beat the hell out of the non-Israelite?
Well, what we see in the text is, from an eschatological view, Israel are going to be whooping on other nations in Zechariah chapter 12 before Christ come back. That's what it's saying in the land.
Okay, so Laurent, that's great. You need to do more videos. You said we need to teach. You need to teach people that Israel, God still chose Israel, and they're gonna beat the hell out of nations, and these nations are gonna serve them. So
hold on. Let me finish, bro. No. Wait. Hold on, bro. Hold on. No, I can't let you do that, son. Hold on for a minute. Now, look. Now, so when you look at Zechariah, it says in the last days that Israel is they participate doing a lot of wicked things. First of all, that's why he's going to gather all the nations against them. So in the last days, Zechariah chapter 12, talk about the governors that's going to be in Israel, that they're going to be a fire to the nations around them,
Right.
whooping on them. And so then what happens is in Zechariah 14, that's when Christ, the God, he gathers the nations against them because they're whores.
Who is the them? Who is the them?
When you look at Zechariah 14, it tells you against Israel. It says, "I will gather all
so the
nations
them is
against
Israel, and
yes,
you came
Zechariah
out late.
14.
So it's the white Jews that are in Israel today.
Right. You already know. I think they're your brothers, bro.
Okay,
Hold on,
let me say something.
Hold on. Wait. Let me say this. I think that those are your brothers. If you Israel, they Israel. They're your brothers. I don't care.
So,
now I ain't talking about Esau.
So Laurent, there's a chance, not a chance. So what you're telling me is that some of these non-nations, like the Hamites, white people are going to have Negroes in slavery once again. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the term Negro, first of all, is all black people.
Let's not play semantics.
Laurent, don't do it.
Don't make me do it.
Let's say black people. The white people are going to have black people in slavery once again.
No, that ain't what that's talking. No, that ain't what that's talking about.
No, Laurent, not monopoly. Hold
on. Listen. Israel. Hold on, listen, bro, so you can understand this. From an eschatological view, Israel is going, a lot of them going to die. A lot of the nations going to die. That's clear, bro. The text says a third of all humans are going to die. Israel coming to, 2/3. It is coming to Israel first because of the whoredoms they've been doing. The second thing is the remnant shall be saved, and we see that from the nations as well as the nations, from the nations as well as Israel too, just as well, to replenish the earth for 1,000 years. Now, your question is now, no matter how you feel about this, Israel is many colors. That's regardless. So if you say you Israel, God gonna put you back in your place where you're supposed to be at. So so many nations that are gonna be up under Israel during that theocracy during that time. So it's not just going to be what you're saying, a white, black, and white thing, because he already told you.
We know it's not going to be just that.
Hold on, brother. Listen, this is what he said in Samuel. I'm going to give you scriptures, nothing else. And Samuel, he said,
like men look. You look not like men look.
Exactly. So he judged by the heart. So that's how you should be judging with the Spirit of God. So that's the only thing I can say to that. I don't want to be all that other stuff. I ain't trying to. That don't mean nothing.
Laurent, would you say that those white Jews are under the curses right now? Or any Jews over there.
Well, you see, I believe that they at one part of time they will be upon. I mean, they was upon the curses.
Come on, brother, spit it out.
Hold on. I'm gonna spit it out. Now, listen. We see. Listen. At one part of time, we see that they experiences the curses, right? But then we see that it says that in Zechariah that before Christ come back, they're going to be back in the land, a few Jews with governors.
Right. Okay, Laurent.
Hold on. So if that is the case, then it's just like what we see doing when they came back from Cyrus.
I get what you're saying. You're saying that they were under the curses. Now, this is the time period where they're not under curses. So, by you saying that, that would mean that those Jews over there are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
No, they're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Because remember, he said he brought them back. He's bringing them back, not for what they're doing. Even when you read Isaiah 60, it's nothing because of what they did. It's because of the promise. That's what it's saying.
You're right. No, he's right, because there's examples of course, the Lord will let us stay in the land for a certain, let the Israelites stay in the land for a certain amount of time before he comes with curse again, and he believes that the curse are coming back. So that's, he's correct. He's not correct, but he's right in coming to the conclusion that he's coming to. That's not wrong.
Remember, we read that in Isaiah 60.
Okay. Now,
his favor and mercy.
Now, which is great. Now, let's ask this question: Was the Persian subjugation, was the time of the Persians that they had Israel post Babylon, was that a captivity?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a captivity, but it still was Israel being up under a type of oppression.
Yeah, it was still under.
Right, when you look at the beast system concerning what he's talking about is in Daniel, he says that these 4 beasts, and so we see those 4 beasts are concerning Israel and the times of the Gentiles, which is the beast system. So clearly, Israel should be over these nations, not in in some type of servitude to these nations.
Okay. So hold on, real quick. I just, with all this being said, Beautiful, beautiful breakdown. I'm not really we're not in a lot of opposition with your guys' exegetical breakdowns of the passage we asked. I just have a question for our sister Cherry. Does she agree that there will be other nations that will be serving Israel in Christ's kingdom?
How you gonna ask me that and drop off?
I know. I'm still here. That was
Oh, okay. Because I'm seeing two.
the same profile.
Well, based off on reading Isaiah 9 and reading Isaiah 60, and based off on what Brother Marcus said and Brother G-Con is saying, those nations that will be serving are the ones that are disobedient. So it's not being made out. Let me finish. It's not being made out in the, and I will quote G-Con, I'm still in your word, G-Con, in the white supremacy way, that a way you're saying, in the racial way that you guys say, because I've heard y'all videos. And I looked up chattel slavery and I looked up slavery itself. It is a distinction there. Because if it was being pushed the same way that you all have been telling people, I'm just going to be bold, or should I say other camps? I'm going to take that off the table. Other camps have been pushing. That's sin. Right. It's sinful. So the slavery that we're seeing here, the servitude, I'm gonna say servitude. The servitude that we're seeing here is not the same as what took place in the transatlantic slave trade. So that I will say. So those nations that is being spoken about in Isaiah 60 and Isaiah 9 and Isaiah 61 are disobedient, still wicked nations. So that's what I see as well. But not the way that you all are making it. Oh, we gonna get and we gonna get the white man and do all.
That God is still, so the Most High is still see, and that's what we got to know. The Christians got to notice, and we have to notice, is that God is not playing any games. When God sent Israel to come in and He killed them kids like that, we need to be looking at that, because He will take your seed out clearly if you're doing if He see it is fit to do so. Because Genesis 12:3 is clear. He says when it concerns those that bless Abraham or the seed will be blessed, and those that curse them shall be cursed. And so clearly, if you one of those persons that's doing those things, then you basically gonna be even Israel. When Israel came up to try to curse the seed, and will come through them and try to kill the kings of the lineage, and also try to do things, God even dealt with them, and that's what Paul was talking about, as well as through the Pharaoh and all of them. So He's not playing any games, and so we can't act like God. God is so loving that He also has to protect those who is in His kingdom just as well, and who He loves just as well. Now, if you get in, if He doesn't do that, then how do He love what He can't love what is His, because He can't protect it. So that's what we got to understand. God has to uphold justice and righteousness, and even though we may look at God like I look and say, God, I can't really deal with the thing with the killing of the kids, but nevertheless, you did that. You know what I'm saying? And you told them to do that. And that would have been a hard thing to tell me to kill some kids, but I'm finite.
So that's what I'm gonna ask. That's what I want to ask this whole panel. Well, I would say, then I want to give it to my brother Yatab, please, because he's got some good questions. Is Christ coming back to kill kids?
Well, first of all, I don't really like. Are you up under the perspective that kids go to when kids are damned from? There could be kids that are damned from birth. Is that your perspective?
What you mean, like damn the hell?
Yeah.
No, we don't believe in that.
Right, and so I think that ultimately, when that stuff happened like that, I think that those kids basically that don't know right or good, or don't, they can't. How can they do something that is lawful if they don't know the good and evil? They can't judge between good and evil. I think that those kids ultimately, they get in. You know what I'm saying? Now, if God coming back to kill kids and seed, it's clear that he did that in the past. So I can't be sure. I can't say that he's not. I know that it says that clearly that his garments is going to be full of blood.
There you go.
So
that's right.
Yeah, so I can't.
But let me pass it to. Thank you, LeBron.
Right, but hold on for a minute, because look, when you say there you go, that's right. Listen, that's a sorrowful thing for kids to be killed.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just asking because you said that we're dealing with a God who told the Israelites to go in villages and wipe everything out. So I brought that up because you brought that up because he's coming that same way as well when he comes back with that vengeance.
Yeah, he gonna tear some stuff up. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like the scriptures is clear, and that's gonna be his vengeance. Like it ain't even gonna be God using man to put vengeance on other people. It's gonna be his vengeance if you look at it, because he says it to where God has used us to chastise each other, and we was already wicked as hell, and we chastising other people. And excuse my language, but we chastising other people. You know what I'm saying? And we wicked, you know what I'm saying? So God is coming back, and when he chastises people, it's gonna be on a whole nother manner because he gets busy.
Like LeBron, I want to say, they shall do according to my anger and my fury, not, for showing you that God's judgment and his wrath is on a whole different level, and the average human being can't even really conceive it.
So we as believers, we can't stop. You cannot say that like, oh, well, God is not gonna judge, because then he wouldn't be a loving person to judge those who are free moral agents within his kingdom. You know what I'm saying? You can't say that he is gonna judge. That's bottom line. So as a Christian, you need to understand that, like, and when you understand that, then the Bible becomes more clearer to you, because it's just like in the household. In your household, you protect what you love. Even if somebody in your household is coming against, you love everybody, but even if somebody in that household is coming against or causing some type of corruption, you still have to protect the other ones from that one that is causing corruption, and be long-suffering as much. But if that person continues to get out of line, you definitely got to deal with that person.
Okay, well, let me ask you guys this. Are you guys Hamites?
I'm big Hamite. I'm big Hamite right here, though.
You're a Hamite, huh? Okay. Hey, let me, Marcus, are you Hamite real quick? Marcus, I would like you to. We got to keep the show going. It's getting late for everybody, so we're gonna kind of.
I just want to read one quick scripture real quick. Bro.
I'm waiting on Seattle Sicarii's questions. That's what I'm waiting on.
That's the highlight of the show.
He's keeping in and out, so I want to hurry to get back.
Next time, tell him to come back.
I just want to read one quick.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah,
All right. Okay, there we go. Come. Let Marcus read this last scripture, and then your time, you got it, baby.
Well, it keeps on kicking me in and out, so we're just gonna stay along the same little lines. It's all good.
Okay, let's stay right there. Go ahead, Mark.
All right, so this is to further to deal with the thought that of ethnic hierarchy. I just want to cut that in half with Zechariah chapter 12. I'm sorry, Zechariah chapter 2, verse 10 through 13, real quick. And this is what it says, bro. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 10. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people. And I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts have sent me unto thee. So, again, in dealing with the millennial kingdom, you're going to have nations that's going to repent and submit themselves unto Christ. This is going to be done by what? They're going to witness the punishments that's going to be taking place in the rebellious nations, the ones who are disobedient, and they're going to repent and submit unto Christ and help build the kingdom. But when they do this, when they come to the faith, they will become the people of God as well. It's not going to be an ethnic hierarchy where you got blacks ruling over whites.
Brother, let me ask you a question.
Don't ask him. Listen, don't ask him nothing. Let it finish that. Are you done?
I mean,
we're trying to get your time on that.
No, I understand it. Just let him finish his point. I just want to know if he's done.
No, I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished. So it's not going to be an ethnic hierarchy where you have blacks ruling over whites, and like it's about race or something like that. It's not about that, bro. These nations that repent, they're going to join themselves unto the Lord. And as the scripture says in verse 11, I'm going to read it again. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people. And this parallels with Isaiah chapter 19, when you read about how Egypt is going to be called my people at the last verse of Isaiah chapter 19, because it's going to be nations that repent and become God's people. So,
you just understood. So now, here's what we have to understand. I just want to state this before your time goes on. This man just read and broke down Isaiah 60, right? 10 to 16. He read Isaiah 61, 5 to 6, where it said that Israelites were going to be busy teaching God's word, while non-Israelites were going to be busy working, doing hard labor, building up the kingdom, bringing their riches, working in the field, etc. Yet he asserts there's no ethnic hierarchy. Clearly, the scripture that he read does not suggest even.
Okay, so explain that then. Explain Zechariah 2:11.
Marcus. I let you say what you have to say. My brother's waiting with questions. I'm just making a statement in response to what you're saying, and then we're moving on.
That's slick, bro. That's slick.
Isaiah said, well, no, what you just did was slick. You just read a verse that says,
okay, so can you explain?
Marcus. Again, I'm making a statement in response to your statement, and then we're moving on. It's that simple.
Explain the scripture.
So I have no problem. I was doing that before you cut in. Thank you. So again, you read Isaiah 60, 10 to 16. That clearly says Israelites were going to be working going to be doing the work of God, while other nations were going to be doing hard labor for them. Right? Then we read Isaiah 61. Strangers are going to be in the field, being plowmen and feeding flocks, while the Israelites are being the priests of God. Right? Then he reads his verse that says, there are going to be God's people, and suggests that eliminates the ideology of ethnic hierarchy. I'll explain why. Just because they're being the people of God, meaning coming to Israel, coming to Jerusalem and worshiping God, does not negate the other two prophecies that he put down that clearly demonstrate ethnic hierarchy. Thank you very much.
No, it does not, bro. We already went through that.
Marcus, again, and that's clear. And the listening audience can take what they want from it. Go ahead with your questions.
You're being intellectually dishonest right there.
No. You're being intellectually dishonest. Because you just said, before you read the verse read, you prefaced that it was going to eliminate the ideology of ethnic hierarchy, and it did not.
It did.
Marcus.
Okay, one at a time, y'all. One at a time, because it's getting, because I'm looking at the chat and they saying they can't really keep up with you all. So one at a time, not together. Okay. I would like to get to Seattle Sicarii's questions.
Yeah, let him take
yes. So what's your questions?
Can somebody break down Psalms? Can somebody break down Psalms 149? Verses 5 through 9.
Hold on, your time. They've already admitted all that, man. I want you to ask Cherry the question that you got for Cherry, because I know they've already conceded there's going to be non-Israelites that are going to be serving Israelites. We've got that, right?
Not in an ethnic way. I'm telling you, say the full answer. Don't twist my hair.
We don't got to purpose it. There's going to be non-Israelites serving Israelites. It's just a fact. It's what's going to be. So I mean,
serving them by helping build the kingdom, not by picking them up.
Look. Here's the thing.
Not in the racial.
Hold on. I didn't insinuate in any way. I just said it was going to happen.
Not in the racial. No. Not in the racial way that you have posted. No.
I did not say any of that. So
I'm making that clear. I'm making that very clear.
I have this need to keep saying that because you realize what the implication is. I did not try to
by pushing ethnic hierarchy. You are saying that.
I did not at any point attempt to define that type of slavery as anything as you guys are acting like we did. So can we now move on, please and thank you? This is crazy. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Come on with your question.
I want to talk about this real quick. Hold on. Hey, turn to Psalms 149 real quick.
Okay. I think it's good.
Psalms 149.
You want Terry to break it down, or you want to
talk about ethnic hierarchy, right? Tell me if this is ethnic hierarchy.
All I heard was hi.
So I started first.
Bro, we can't hear you, fam.
I know he's cutting out bad. What's going on?
No,
he's cutting out real bad. So
do you guys want me to read it, or was I thought Cherry?
If you're coming at me with the question or the argument to make an ethnic hierarchy again, or who's above who, I'm going to say the same thing that Brother Marcus just said. So you're wasting time.
That's exactly why I just said your time. Just leave that alone. It doesn't even matter. We beaten that horse plenty. Just move on. You have other questions. I already know you have other questions for Cherry. Just move on to those questions, bro. We're not going to be on here all night. We've already beaten that subject pretty well.
Okay, so the brother, I think the brother's phone is
Hey, Sister Cherry.
Yes. Yes, Seattle Sicarii. Yes, I'm here.
I'm not sure. I think the brother is lagging out.
Okay.
Yes, it's got to be a lag.
Okay. Let me move on so we could.
Well, I do have a question.
I do too. Wait. How did you? I thought you guys were on the hot seat here.
Well, we are in the hot seat. I mean, okay. Well, if you have a question for me, come on.
Well, how quick is your question, or is it something we have to break down?
I mean, I can't determine.
Okay, go ahead. Just ask.
How long it takes you to answer. So again, we had this issue. I've seen you all literally demonize the word Christian, and I had questions about that. Why do you do that?
Maybe this will clear up your question before you.
How about if I finish
Let her answer. Let her answer the question. Go ahead.
Thank you. I've seen numerous videos where you guys do demonize Christians. However, and I hate to bring this up, Gorilla Hebrew, when you had a little run-in with the law, you did make a statement, and it's funny that you quoted, I believe, First Peter chapter 4:16. And you quoted, also you quoted Acts chapter, I want to say Acts chapter 11:26. And you did refer to yourself as a Christian, but yet you demonize Christian. Even the word, it doesn't even have to be Christianity, but the word Christian. So I want to know, how is it that you guys can demonize people for being Christians, and then yet turn around in the time of trouble, claim to be a Christian?
Okay, sister, beautiful question. When we take the terminology of Christian and we demonize it, we're demonizing colloquially, referencing somebody who is a part of the greater religions that are a part of Christianity. We would say that Christian is people typically understand that today refer to people who are adherents to a religion that we believe is heretical. So we believe that we are in fact Christians, but we are the true Christians and the true followers of Christ and his teachings. So we take that just the same as we refer to ourselves as black people. We're not black people. Nobody's actually black, the color, right? But we understand that colloquially, this is a term that is used to identify a certain group of people. So we use it for lack of a better term, or for the layman's terms. The same thing we do with Christian. But do we believe, in fact, that we are truly the followers of Christ or Christians? Yes, we believe we are the true Christians and adherents to Christianity, in fact, or not.
So what is the behavior of a Christian, sir?
Well, it's various things that are outlined in the Bible.
I'm waiting.
I said it's various things that are outlined in the Bible. I don't care to get into each thing individually and particularly, but I mean, we have a whole Bible that outlines things that dictate how we're supposed to conduct ourselves.
Can you give me a few?
One
or two.
Okay. Well, a Christian, number one, is a follower of Christ. So I would say somebody who is in action, living a righteous lifestyle pursuant to Levitical standards, having faith, loving his fellow brother and sister. So those would be.
So when you, okay, and I agree with that definition that you just gave. So when you guys go out and street preach and also on the internet, I've heard some things that wasn't Christ-like. And I wanted to question you on the stuff last week, but we didn't get a chance to. So here's my chance. So when I've seen your behavior towards even other nations and people that you would claim to be part, or I guess or are Israelites that you would say, you have been mean to them. You have cursed them out, and the Bible speaks against that. You have shunned them. The Bible does speak against that. You have done multiple things. So how do you equate your behavior that you have now to be in line with being a Christian, sir?
Well, yes. Can you say that Christ cursed out the Pharisees?
No, I can say that he rebuked them, but I wouldn't say that he cursed them. No,
I would say I did the same thing Christ did to the Pharisees. I mean, he called them all kind of things: serpents, vipers, hypocrites, all these various things. So I would say I did the same thing that Christ did to the wicked scribes and Pharisees, that he was frustrated with their evil continuously throughout the gospel.
So you would agree that an actual Christian is biblical, sir?
Yes, the concept of being a Christian does come from the Bible. They were called Christians first in Antioch.
So again, I'm going to go back here to 1 Peter chapter 4 here. And of course, you know where I'm going to go here, and I'll read it in context. I'll start at verse 15 for the sake of it. I really want the whole chapter, but I'll start it a little bit ahead. It says, "But let none of you suffer as a murderer or a thief or an evildoer or a meddler. Yet if anyone suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in that name." So, or on this behalf, according to the KJV. So when I look at that, Peter is telling them not to be ashamed. But when you deal with people out on the street that do identify as a Christian, you beat them down. That I'm confused here. Why are you doing that?
Well, sister, it says, if you suffer as a Christian, be not ashamed. So when we suffer and are persecuted for our beliefs, we are not ashamed of those things. That's what that's referring to. Not we're shaming people who claim to be Christians, but we don't believe that they are. That's not applicable.
Okay, so so when I asked about the behavior situation, and you are absolutely correct, you said that the Bible does outline of how we should behave. And this is what I have seen, and let me finish in full context. Galatians chapter 5, and I'm going to work my way down here. Now the works of the flesh are evident: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fit of anger, rivalry, dissension, division, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. Now, I have seen strife from you all. I have seen talk of division from you all. I even see a speck or quite a bit of envy. I even seen the drunkenness, and you all have videotape of that. Well, the sexual immorality, I will identify polygamy as under that too. But that's just me. And idolatry, well, lifting yourself above anybody else and worshiping your own skin color, that's a form of idolatry as well. The anger, the fits of anger, and the dissensions and the rivalries. So this behavior here will go against of being an actual Christian. Now, I'm gonna say this last part, and I'll let you answer. Now, this is what a real Christian is supposed to display: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, good. Well, you have displayed patience with me, but not with others. Kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Seattle, Sicarii, try learning doing that. Against such things, there is no law. So this is what an actual Christian is supposed to display. Now, if you're holding on to this title, then we have a confliction. And I told you the things in your videos I have seen. I've witnessed this. I'm not bearing false witness against you. I'm not lying on you, and I'm not making these things up. Now, I could go to a list of your very own videos, your own words out of your own mouth, and they will match these things, highlighted in the blue, things that you have done. What is your rebuttal, sir?
I would say that we have to look at, again, contextually everything that's being talked about, because the scriptures also talk about a Christian shouldn't debate, and here we are debating, right? So, I mean, we have to understand.
That's a good point.
Well, this is not a debate, it's a discussion, sir. I don't debate.
So do Christians debate? Are there any Christians? I've had a debate with So Real, he's on his platform. I've had a debate with G-Con that's on his platform. Are they not Christians?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
See what I'm saying? We have to take a look contextually at each and every thing that's talked about there. I mean, it's just that simple. And we have to do things in balance. As Marcus said, we have to take a look at the whole message of God, right? Because, for example, let's go to Ezekiel 3:8. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and thy forehead strong against their forehead. As an adamant harder than flint have I made thy forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. So it's talking about if they come at you hard-headed, your head is being made even harder than theirs. Then another one, Jeremiah 5:14. Wherefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh God of hosts, because you speak this word, behold, I will make thy words in thy mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. So we can clearly see here people being dealt with harshly, people being used and taking the words of the Lord and using them in a way that is literally inflammatory towards these people. This happens in the Bible. So we have to take a look at the fullness of this and balance this out. It's not as simple as just isolating.
I'm not isolating. I don't do isolations. I'm just asking a simple question. And not to mention, and Peter, I believe, the word there, I can't think of, it's apologia. So an apologist is a person that defends the gospel. Not to mention, the Bible also says to what? Be ready to answer, right? And holding fast to the word of God. So when we're asked something or we're brought a subject, yes, we have to be ready to give an answer. So regarding as in, I mean, if you can label it as a debate, but again, we're giving an answer because again, it wasn't us that called you out, or should I say the Hebrew Israelite movement out. It was the Hebrew Israelite movement that called us out, and we responded. So
I'm not saying y'all wrong for debating. What I'm saying is we have to take a look at these things, and we can't just always take them at face value, because there's a scripture of Romans 1:29 that says they are full of debate. These wicked people are full of debate. Well, but we debate. So is that just talking about we can't debate each other? There's literally, just for the record, there's literally a Hebrew Israelite that's coming on our comment board on every video that we have that's a debate and telling us that we're sinning because we're debating and using that scripture. You see what I'm saying? So But that's what I'm saying. We can't always take things at face value. Like even this. Now, these are the works of the flesh, evidence, sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, all these various things. I can see corresponding laws to these things, right? The works of the flesh versus the works of the spirit. We know the law is spiritual, right? So we understand that I would correspond all these things to laws that we are commanded to keep in Torah that we're not supposed to be breaking. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how I would look at and understand this, and why I wouldn't see this as holding me in violation of anything.
So, okay. So again, so when I guess you might deal with this, hopefully you might deal with this differently. So when you have a person that identifies as a Christian, will you deal with them better than what you have been dealing with them before? Because y'all have been cussing people out.
I'm going to deal with each and every individual that I deal with as the Spirit gets on me to deal with them. I cannot say as to what I'm going to do when I deal with anybody. I'm just going to deal according to the Spirit.
Okay, so meaning that there's a possibility that you still might cuss them out, correct?
Certainly, sister, if I'm compelled to.
I can't. I can't with you, Gorilla Hebrew. Listen. You know what? I'm
a well-balanced brother. I'm patient.
Yeah, can I?
And also, I curse out too. But go ahead.
I want to ask a question. So, if somebody teaches another gospel, is it okay for us to curse them?
Paul said that they will be accursed, meaning that they will be damned. He didn't tell you to curse them out. Let's read that.
Right. What is the curse? What is a curse? What does a curse word mean?
Saying something bad.
That's what curse means, according to the Bible?
Cussing. You know what I'm talking about. Don't play semantics with me. Cussing people out. You know exactly
is that according to the Bible?
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm so glad that you brought that up. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to read this. And you brought up the gospel. You brought up another gospel. Paul says here, I'm astonished at you, so quickly deserting him who has called you into grace of Christ, and who are turning to a different gospel. Not that there's another one, but there are some who trouble you and want to distort the gospel of Christ. But even if we, an angel from heaven, should preach to you another gospel contrary to the one we preach to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone is preaching to you a gospel contrary to the one you received, let him be accursed. He said nothing about cursing them out. He was saying that the Sabbath that they will be is damnation.
What does the word curse mean?
I just told you, in a damnable situation.
Okay, so do you agree that those people, anybody preaching another gospel, should be damned?
That's what the scripture says.
That's what you believe, right?
That's what the scripture says.
Okay, so if you were on the corner and doing your evangelist work, somebody came up preaching a different gospel, you wouldn't say "damn you" or "let God damn you."
No, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't say that. No,
that's what Paul's saying.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So when you say that, would it be wrong to say that though?
No, it would be wrong, but I will say a curse. I will take them to this very, hold on, let me answer. I will take them to this very scripture right here, this very chapter and this very verse, and I will explain in context. I will not sit up there and blah, 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 and F you, and you be, and da, 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 da. I will not do that.
Okay.
Because again, you're turning that person away. You're turning that person away. Let's say we have an atheist come on the street, right? They don't know nothing about these scriptures. They heard a little bit about the Bible, but they don't know anything. And let's say they decide, okay, I want to hear something. I just want to hear something. And then they tell you, I'm an atheist. I don't believe nothing that you say. I don't believe that Jesus Christ is real. And I'm putting a disclaimer. I do believe that Jesus Christ is real, but I'm just using a scenario. You don't come to them and cuss them out. And the reason why I'm dealing with behavior, Sicarii, Gorilla Hebrew, Deacon Hekiah, and Seattle Sicarii, if you're listening, is because I have literally watched y'all. I have heard you all. And I know this, and I'm gonna bring this up. Don't ruffle your feathers. I seen that documentary and I was very disturbed. Gorilla Hebrew, I will say this before everybody that's listening. You and I have had a beautiful dialogue. And I believe that you are an intelligent man. And I'm not trying to stroke your ego. No, I do believe this. Deacon Hekiah, I have not had a lot of interaction with you, but I believe you too are a very intelligent man. But what I had seen, I was very disappointed in both of you. Very disappointed. That's why I brought this up.
You talking about the Sicarii, that documentary?
Yes, and then saying, Deacon Hakiah said, F Shield Squad, F all y'all, and fo something, and all your kids don't grow. So you don't want my children to grow up? Are you damning my kids to hell? Are you saying you wishing death on my children, sir?
It's a hip hop euphemism.
I'm asking you. You quoted it.
It's a hip hop euphemism.
I know it came from Tupac. I'm very familiar with him, but you quoted it.
Yeah, no, I don't want you. I don't want your kids to grow up without
So
money.
why would you say that, beloved?
Like I said, it's a joke. You know, I've had LaRon come on my comment board and say Pyru blood, and nobody gets mad about that.
And call us crabs, which is a game.
Let's not be hypocrites.
Well, listen, I will say this, especially about the children. No matter what race, creed, or color they are all precious. Jesus made that very clear. I want to say Matthew chapter 18. He made it very clear. He said, suffer the little children to come unto me and forbid them not, for such as the kingdom of God is there. And he said, you must come to God like a little child. So again, and he said this, if anyone, I'm not done, let me finish. He said this, he said, if anyone was to offend one of these little ones, it would be better for that person to put a millstone around their neck and drown in the sea. So again, when I heard that, I was very greatly disappointed. And I'm not gonna lie, on national internet, I was very hurt when you said
that. Terry, real quick, I want to say something to you. This verse that you're reading here in Galatians, the verse 9 right there.
That's what I just said, beloved.
Yeah, that verse. What I'm gonna do is,
I'm dragging you back now. I got your copy. I'm dragging you back.
No, not what I'm saying. That verse. Hold on. That I didn't say that about nobody.
I know you didn't say it, but guess what? Isn't Deacon Hakiah under you? You're the Sicarii.
It was a joke, and I understood the joke, so that's why I didn't have a problem with it.
But I didn't take it as a joke, beloved.
I was right there.
Listen. I have a beautiful 14-year-old who is doing very well in school and loves God. She loves God. I have a beautiful 9-year-old son who loves God as well. And I have a beautiful 3-year-old who is busy and she's learning about God. So again, when I heard him make that statement, I didn't take it as a joke. That was hurtful. And I'm bold enough to confront you on it. That's why I moved here. Please don't do that again. Or to anybody else. If you don't agree with them, don't agree with them. Or debunk them. That's one thing. But don't say that. And I'm saying that with all humility. The first thing, and I will say this, and I'll shut up. The first thing, if you say that you have Christ in you and Christ lives in you, that's the first thing that they should see. And y'all know I'm right. Whether you want to admit it or not. So I just wanted to confront you on that. And the reason why I'm interjecting you, Gorilla Hebrew, is because you're head leadership. I still love you. Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
All right, we love you too. We love your kids, man. We don't want nothing bad to happen to your kids. We'd be heartbroken if anything happened to your children, for certain. I just want to say though about this verse in Galatians that you read, especially verse 9, like you said, if somebody was coming with another gospel, you would bring this out and you would explain it to them. What I'm gonna tell you is I'm gonna take initiative in doing that same thing by your brilliant suggestion and going into this and being more giving more of an explanation. Just for the record, a lot of times where things get really crazy and heated when we're teaching on the streets is when people are also coming at us unreasonably. We have far more peaceful and reasonable conversations and discussions and debates that we have with people on the streets than we have of the extreme stuff. And the extreme stuff usually happens because people do not want to converse with us in an intellectual way. I just want to say that for the record. But your Tom, are you good or or what? Look at him.
Well, I was just, listen, I will bring this up. Last night, my children almost lost their mother because there was an expressway shooting on.
It's here, man, but
So hold on. There was an expressway shooting.
He's lagging. That's his problem.
I know he's lagging. There was an expressway shooting on the Dan Ryan while I was on my way home. And the bullet literally knocked out my supervisor's right view mirror. So again, my children are very precious to me, just like any other parent. And I'm sure they will not want to hear that flip side. Somebody to say it was like almost wishing death on on our kids. So G-Con has kids. I have kids. I seen your daughter, Gorilla Hebrew, and she is beautiful. Pack her up and send her to me. Okay? I will love your kids just like they're my very own. So if I'm extending that love, please extend that love back as well. That's all I'm saying.
Certainly, sister.
And deal with Seattle Sicarii with his rough self. As much as him and I argue, I still got love for him too. Did you tell him what I said last time?
Yeah. And we working with the brother. He needs to work also with his internet connection because that is.
He do though. We agree on that. He do. So I don't really have any other questions for you. Because this is, the highlighted part that you all would come up with questions. But I hope this won't be the last time that we will dialogue. I hope you all will be willing to come back on here. I too would consider to go to your platform, but y'all got to get that cut off stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna have to strongly pray on that because I've seen y'all discussions and y'all don't be really fair. So I'm just gonna keep it as if you'll be willing to still come here until I'm comfortable enough to come to your platform.
We can mirror it. I don't have no problem. If you give us the permission to mirror it, it really ain't no problem to me. If we're on your platform.
Okay, so if you're going to do that, please let me know ahead of time. You got my number. You got it, and Seattle Sicarii, he has it. So so we do have strong communication. We have been texting back and forth and stuff like that. And we have, I'm gonna be honest with you all, and I'm saying this, I know a lot of Christian community gonna be like, what? I won't lie. I enjoy the dialogue with you guys. I'm learning more from you guys. Now, will I convert over to Hebrew Israelite? No, hell no. I'll say that. But it does not mean that I cannot show you love or fellowship with you. And honestly, for me, these two dialogues that we have had, even the one with Sicarii Seattle, even though that was quite heated. But these two dialogues here really show that we can come together and contend in the faith and discuss the scriptures. I honestly enjoy that. And so I will pray that you all will continue to come, and you're more than welcome to dialogue. People want to hear, but again, the over talking each other, they get confused, get lost in the sauce. Because I was looking at the chat and I did receive a few texts, and it was like, look, Sis Cherry, separate them, because we can't understand what's going on. That's why I was saying what I was saying. But yeah, I don't have any questions. Brother Marcus, did you have any questions for them, or Sister QT?
If we can pick up next time, it's 1 a.m. here, so I gotta go eat. I ain't ate nothing, so I gotta go eat. If we can maybe schedule another one. Marcus, or we can maybe schedule something.
Marcus can come on the situation room.
Come on the situation room, or we can do it however we want to do it. So however brothers is comfortable doing it, let's just guys tired. I don't know what is wrong with this guy's internet. He gotta fix that.
I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna say this real quick. Next time you come in here with them tassels on like that, the bangs, I'm gonna clown you. I'm gonna hear that right now. Oh no, neck, listen. And then he had the audacity to have the camera down. Listen. Oh no.
I'm gonna bring the solo cup next time too.
Oh, please, and you not have. You know you got $7 to go up to Radio Shack and buy you a stand. I will listen. I will send you $7 right now. You already gave me 20. I'm gonna just give you 7 back. Right now. Don't you come in here with them tassels for bangs up on.
With the tassel bangs, all right.
Put them in the back or something. Don't be having them in the front like that, all decorative and stuff. It's not what they're used for. And I'm gonna need you. And did you get plastic hangers for them t-shirts?
Yeah, I went and bought a gang of plastic hangers.
I'm gonna need you to go to the plastic because if I see one wire hanger in any of your videos, I'm gonna beat you. I'm telling you that right now. Joan Crawford made it clear. No wire hanger.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh God. Listen, I have been having these questions, all right? And I only feel like it's fair that I ask these right now, all right? Oh, you. Wait a minute. Did you fix it where you didn't go to the flea market to get them t-shirts? So if we wash them, they're not gonna shrink, right?
Yeah, they're not gonna shrink.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Just making sure. Listen, I'm making sure. And as long as we got that understanding, everybody good. Praise God. Oh my God. Listen, I'm not responsible for her. She says so. But I will say, Gorilla Hebrew, again to thank you all so much for accepting the invitation. And yes, let's schedule another one. So you are willing to come back on the platform?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will get with each other and definitely schedule another dialogue, and hopefully since the Sicarii got the question the Christian community, and we got to question them the first time, we'll try to find a different angle for the audience, where we will engage each other as well as bring the information. Does that sound cool?
Sounds perfect.
Okay, so I will I'm off tomorrow. I'm off on Tuesday, so I'll probably give you a call or a text in between one of those times. You let me know your schedule, and we can come together again. Christ taught us to love, and I will say I don't hate you. I love you with the love of Christ, and I'm praying for you. I'm going to continue to pray for you, and I ask that you pray for us as well.
All right, everybody. All praises. It's your brother. They can't. I'm off that, so I'm on our live now. All praises, honor and glory unto the Most High God Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. Appreciate y'all for checking in. Anybody super chat at the water Yahweh Shema Shai Brakatah for the super chats. I know we thick in here right now. How thick are we in here right now, man? 500. Really appreciate it. Hope y'all enjoy. Hope y'all are edified, man. I don't know what the hell happened. I'm about to call Georgia Power in a second, because the reason why the first one cut off, my damn whole electricity in the house just flickered real quick, and it cut the computer off, knocked the internet out, etc. So, Salakia for that, but we're on, and I believe because it was a lot of confusion and stuff going on and ins and outs in the beginning anyway. So this second part was far more edifying. We're able to go into a lot. As you can see, we got the Christians to admit there's going to be slavery in the kingdom of heaven. They admitted that. So as far as the ins and outs of how that slavery is going to be, we can deal with that on another time. We got the precepts for that. But again, y'all, all praises, honor, and glory unto Abba Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai, the water for tuning in, and Shalom.